In the last part, we got to see the ending of the Tournament of Power, as well as how much Gohan and Cell have grown. But our story still isn't over yet. There are still a few threats we need to cover. We'll be seeing all that and more in this part 9 of What If Cell Lived. Boo resides on Earth, still not allowed on Beerus' planet. Beerus still doesn't really want him there because he knows Boo is an agent of evil, and he's still worried about Boo hogging all the food. This kinda does bum him out, but hey, at least he has Gohan here for company. And apparently, the Galactic Patrol, because now they come to Earth for some reason. They look specifically for Majin Buu, and he's encountered by a weird patrolman named Maris. They need him to help against an escape threat, a magician named Moro. He escaped from the Galactic Patrol prison, and they have no way to stop him. They need the power of the Grand Supreme Kai to do that. Moro? Oh yeah, Boo actually does remember that dude. Which surprises Maris. How does he remember? Well, he has the memories of the Grand Supreme Kai in him too, plus all of his abilities. And Boo thanks Maris for warning him. He then starts focusing, not looking for any normal ki, but instead looking for one imbued with magic. And it's not hard to find because there's not many strong magic users out there. And Moro's ki is actually pretty strong too. And looking for the combination of both, he actually finds Moro pretty easily, and tells Maris to hang on 1 second. Then vanishing as he teleports away. As Moro floats through space, someone then appears on his ship. His jaw drops to the ground. He can't even let out any words. Because the second Boo appears there, he waves at Moro, then charging a bunch of ki. In a desperate attempt to win, Moro grabs on a cranberry and tries to steal all of his power, but that's not going to do anything. The ship explodes, leaving a brilliant glow out in space as Boo floats there. Yep, that should have done the job. He teleports back to Earth and lets Maris know. They won't need to worry about Moro anymore, and he gives a thumbs up to the patrolman, with Maris left a little flabbergasted, but he says thank you. That was a lot easier than he expected. So the Moro arc is avoided. Broly and Granola probably wouldn't happen either. Without Frieza, it's kind of hard for Broly to get involved in the story, and there's not really a reason for it either. So he's never found on Vampa. This also applies to Granola because without Frieza, that makes the arc a lot less likely. And if Granola still did end up making the wish for some reason, or the Heaters for that matter, the wish to become the strongest simply wouldn't work. There's no way for them to surpass our cast now, specifically Piccolo, Cell, and of course Gohan. If either Granola or Gas did make the wish, they would simply die from just using all their life force for it. At best, maybe they'd survive a few days. But that's how strong everyone here is. The wish isn't even really possible. And it's not even really that likely to happen either, so that arc is pretty much avoided too. But there is one pretty big arc left, one tying in directly with Cell. Red Pharmaceuticals has been scheming for a while, and they have the perfect scapegoat to get Dr. Hedo to work for them. Cell has laid low for a while, and of course the Red Ribbon Army would have data on him too. So while no one knows he's around at the moment, the Red Ribbon Army does, and they want to retrieve him. He's a rogue android. They don't know how he even came here because Cell in this timeline should have been destroyed. But from what they can gather, Capsule Corp and friends have a bunch of aliens working for them, and they might even have time travelers. That could explain why Cell is here. But most importantly, they know Cell is a villain. There's also Majin Buu there, plus all the other supposed aliens. Using this convinces Dr. Hedo to work for them, especially because Cell is someone that they actually know about. They know for a fact that he is evil. And with this proof, it's pretty easy to manipulate Hedo into believing them, although Magenta has ulterior motives. One day Boo's just chilling out. Still, he's not allowed on Beerus' planet. One day he'll get there though. I mean, he could just teleport there, but he doesn't want to piss Beerus off. It's not really a good idea to piss off the guy that could just erase people. But he can enjoy some peace on Earth. He has a nice little house not far from the city, and he just walks there whenever he wants, going to different bakeries and candy shops. He's a regular everywhere. They all love him, and he loves them. Getting that handsome face from Cell really did work out. He could freely roam around the city, which is awesome. But this also means he's a lot more out in the open. While Cell lays low, Boo doesn't. And this makes it really easy for the Red Ribbon Army to find him. He flies back to his house holding a bunch of cakes, and he sees 2 people standing at his front door, whispering about something. They then turn around, surprised to see that Boo's there. Without thinking, they launch right into attack. Boo throws all of his food up in the air, and with 1 attack for each, he knocks them both far away, then catching all the food in his hand perfectly, safely storing it inside, and saying they chose a really bad time to bother him. He then teleports out of sight, leaving these 2 visitors a bit confused, but he then reappears right after. There's not really too many other people on Earth that could help, but Gohan is there, so he brings him along. Gohan's a little mad because he was in the middle of research and Boo just grabbed him. He didn't even ask, he just brought Gohan here. But Boo simply points at the 2 people standing there. He says that symbol that they're wearing looks like the Red Ribbon Army symbol. Cell has told him about this before, and this makes Gohan concerned. How are they back? The Red Ribbon Army should be gone, and does that mean these 2 are androids? Well, Boo assumes that they are because he can't sense their ki, and they immediately try to attack him. They introduce themselves as self-proclaimed superheroes, Gamma 1 and Gamma 2. They immediately rush in to fight Gohan and Boo. Gohan faces Gamma 1, and Boo fights Gamma 2. Although, it's not really that long of a battle. Pretty easily, the 2 androids are dismantled, and it seems like that's it. They don't destroy them right away, mainly because they want to get some info out of them. Much to their surprise though, 2 other people appear out of nowhere. It's Cell and Piccolo. Cell sensed that they were fighting somebody, and asked Whis, who then pulled up his staff and showed that they're fighting 2 androids. It doesn't seem like they're too big of a threat, but since the Red Ribbon Army is involved, Both Cell and Piccolo thought it would be a good idea to come here, with Cell wondering if it has anything to do with him. And they'll go back and grab Goku and Vegeta if needed, but they should get some info out of these androids first. Gamma 1 and 2 get back up, and the second they see Cell, they're on high alert. The two look at each other and nod. They didn't think they'd be outmatched this quickly, but at least they have one ace up their sleeve. There's a blinding flash of light, and in the light, they see the two silhouettes of the Gammas merge. And as the light dissipates, there's one Gamma standing there. He doesn't look much different from the others. The number on his shirt is gone, and there's 3 fins on his forehead instead of just 1 or 2. His cape and his gun have turned purple, but he doesn't really look much different. The two Gammas actually had this built into them. They can merge together. This is basically their version of Super 17. This is Gamma Prime, the fusion of Gamma 1 and Gamma 2. And it's called Gamma Prime because 1 and 2 are prime numbers, and it sounds more powerful than just simply Gamma 3, or Gamma 1, 2, or whatever they be called. I like it, they like it, we're happy. Cell shoots a ki blast to the android, kinda underestimating it, but then he puts up a barrier. Completely unfazed by Cell's attack, and they can't sense it, but he grew stronger from it too. Cell then goes in to attack him even more. His melee attacks all connect, but none of his ki blasts do. And then he realizes, every time he hits Gamma Prime with a ki blast, Gamma hits back with a stronger attack, almost like he's throwing that ki right back at him. And he notices that Gamma Prime throws up a barrier with every ki attack that hits him, and he can see what's happening now. Gamma Prime can absorb ki. Not only has he grown a lot stronger, but he's completely immune to these kind of attacks. Cell powers up into his god form and fights the android more seriously. But back at the Red Ribbon base, they're all watching this. Dr. Hedo's a bit concerned, but Magenta says it's time to activate Cell Max. They actually have waited a bit longer here, and Cell Max should be ready, but Dr. Hedo doesn't necessarily want to unleash him. He wants to at least give Gamma a chance. But Magenta's not going to wait for that. This is the perfect opportunity. He slips away and goes to activate him. And while Dr. Hedo was working on his development, Magenta had some scientists that he worked with too. Hedo made Cell Max too good. He can't have him being a goofy superhero like Gamma 1 and 2. So to assure that that wouldn't happen, some of his scientists got to work, programming Cell Max so he'd be the ultimate killing machine. And he activates the android. The base starts rumbling. The pod that he's contained in opens up. Back at the battle between Cell and Gamma Prime, Cell has claimed victory. Transforming into his god form actually did help a bit. He found the perfect way to work around Gamma Prime's abilities. The android couldn't detect godly ki, and when Cell imbues his attacks with magic, Gamma Prime can't absorb them. He does admit though, they're pretty well built, and absorbing ki is a great idea. But Cell tells him he's moved past simple ki attacks by now. And besides, his melee attacks would have been enough too. But Piccolo quickly turns away, sensing something in the distance. The others all sense it too. Why does that ki feel so familiar? It's like a mixture of keys, almost how Cell's feels like. Gamma Prime is injured, but gets back up still. What are they talking about? But then he realizes what's going on. That can only mean one thing. Cell Max has been activated. There's a giant pillar of ki that appears in the distance, and then suddenly dissipates. And then they all hear a voice behind them greeting them. Turning around to see that someone recently teleported in. He looks like Cell. He has different colors on him, but otherwise he looks almost exactly the same. He was modeled after perfection after all. The current Cell was a big part of his blueprints, and part of his DNA too, of course. This was the Red Ribbon Army's backup plan. A perfect, complete Cell Max. Cell's not really too thrilled to see him, but isn't concerned. He's just a bit annoyed. Great, another imposter that they have to fight. Now he sees how Vegeta feels with Vegeta Black. Vegeta's too busy training Goku right now, but they still can grab him if they need. Although, they probably won't need him. Cell thinks that he's got this. If they just made another Cell with a new coat of paint, that shouldn't be too big of an issue for him. At first, he even thought that the Cell Max was in his god form, considering that he was colored red. But no, that's just his base. That's just what he looks like. Which should make it even easier for Cell. He starts fighting Cell Max first, but comes to see that Cell Max is no joke. Cell Max barely moves, blocking all of Cell's attacks, and delivering his own with great power. What, did he really think this was just another normal Cell? No, Cell Max has all of their abilities. Of course, he hasn't seen recent developments on Beerus' planet, but anyone who has been on Earth, he has their powers. He's a better version of Cell if anything, because he has all the updated data from this Cell, and has DNA from some other people that Cell doesn't have. Unfortunately, they couldn't harness Beerus and Whis' DNA, since they weren't even able to sense them, and didn't realize how powerful they were until after they were on Earth. But Cell Max says it doesn't matter, and he welcomes them all to attack. Gohan goes into Perfected Blue, and Piccolo goes into Orange, with everyone charging in, and Cell Max is able to fight all of them off at once, with Gamma Prime sitting on the sidelines, unsure of what to do. And even with everyone combined right now, it's still not enough. Cell activates Ultra Instinct Omen, while Piccolo stays in his orange form, but starts using the technique of Ultra Instinct with it. And Gohan goes into his beast form. Combined with Buu as well, this actually is able to hold Cell Max off a bit, but not necessarily defeat him. He was built to be even more perfect after all. He has infinite energy, and better regeneration thanks to Buu, not just normal Namekian regeneration. And without much effort, he fights everybody off. And he tells them all their powers together are cute, so maybe he should be using them too just to even the playing field. His aura flares up, morphing into something really strange. It's like a combination of different auras. The shape of Ultra Instinct's aura both the red lightning from Beast Aura and the color and intensity of Orange Piccolo, reminding them that he could use all of their powers. But Gamma Prime gets communication from Hedo. Cell Max must have been sabotaged. He wasn't even supposed to be released right now, and tells Gamma Prime to help. He knows about the weak point too. Cell Max launches a powerful attack at Cell, but before it hits him, Gamma Prime appears in front of it, throwing up a barrier and absorbing all the power, flinging it right back at Cell Max. Actually dealing some damage too, but he simply regenerates from it, laughing it off. They only injured him once so far, and it was with his own power. He says Gamma Prime should step down because he doesn't really want to fight one of his own colleagues after all. But Gamma Prime tells everyone about the weak point. They have to hit his head. Although that's easier said than done because Cell Max is the same size as regular Cell. He's not a giant monster here. Hitting that will be tough. And it looks like they really shouldn't hold any power back either. Cell Max may have some data on them, but he doesn't have all of it. There has been some recent developments that he's not aware of. Boo then heals everybody, with Gohan and Cell ready to use their full power. Gohan finally has done what he wanted to, combining the power of Super Saiyan Blue with Beast. And as for Cell, by now he's got a way better control in Ultra Instinct, and he has the complete form of it too. Cell's the first one to fully transform, turning to a completely silver color, unleashing an immense amount of ki. Gohan doesn't change appearance too much. His eyes change, his hair gains a blue tint, and most notably, he grows a tail out too. Cell is transformed into Ultra Instinct, while as for Gohan, he's gone into a form that's been in one of my videos before, which is referred to as Final Gohan, a combination of Perfected Blue and Beast. Cell and Piccolo are going to distract Cell Max. With Ultra Instinct, it should be pretty easy. They need Gohan and Boo to attack somehow. If they can hit the weak point, that'll be more than enough. Boo then stretches out, launching high up into the air, and then coming back down to the ground, wrapping himself around Cell Max like a coil. Cell Max is trying to attack Piccolo and Cell, but they're able to actually dodge pretty efficiently. More so for Cell. And once he sees Boo wrapped around him, Cell tries to utilize all his magic to hold him even tighter, while Piccolo grows both of his arms to a massive size, crushing Cell Max in his hands. And not too far across the battlefield, Gohan stands there with Gamma Prime. Gohan points one arm out. A piece of Boo is wrapped around it like a coil as well, granting more power to it and imbuing some magic within Gohan's attack just to be safe. He launches a Makanko Sappo, and next to him, Gamma Prime is there, launching some of Cell Max's own energy back at him. The two attacks swirl together, hitting him directly in the forehead, with everyone falling back as quick as possible, and Cell Max explodes. That guy was concerning, but it definitely could have been a lot worse. And Boo's pretty bummed out because his house was destroyed in that blast. But as he looks in the middle of the crater, he sees something reappear. That same terrifying aura appears once more. The pressure from it is insane. They all shield themselves from it. Gamma Prime even puts up a barrier, and the aura alone is so powerful that he gets some energy from it too. That wasn't even an attack. And of course, right in the middle of the crater, Cell Max is there. And at first he has a little crack on his forehead, but then that reforms. He's impressed, they actually did defeat him once. But they should know how great his regeneration is. It's even better than the normal Cell. But Gamma Prime says that makes no sense. Every little bit of him was eradicated, and Cell concurs. That should have killed him. His nucleus was safe when he blew himself up, and even then he barely survived that. So how did Cell Max survive this? He verified it. Every little bit of him was gone. There was no nucleus left behind. But Cell Max says he's not going to reveal all his tricks yet. Sure, they might have won once, but now it's time for round 2. And he's learned from that battle as well. He gains data from every fight. And thanks to that Saiyan side of him, he gains strength as well. So, are they ready for round 2, or are they going to give up yet? Gamma Prime is contacted by Dr. Hedo once more. Even he's surprised. He didn't realize that he was that resistant. The weak spot did work, and if they keep attacking that should destroy him. But they need to do something to make sure that every little bit of him is erased. Gamma Prime says they did that. But no, Dr. Hedo says it's something more than that. They know what went wrong with the last Cell, and they wanted to make sure nothing went wrong with this one too. That weak spot should have destroyed him. But Hedo overlooked something. Since Cell Max has the data of Cell from before, he developed a new ability of his own, all thanks to Majin Buu's regeneration. This wasn't something programmed in him. He can't get rid of the weak spot, but he can come up with a counter to it. He does still have a nucleus that was left behind, but it's infinitely small, and far more durable than any other part of his body. It's where all of his power comes from. With the normal Cell, if you destroy him and his nucleus, he's gone. But destroying Cell Max's nucleus is even harder. The thing is so small, it's like it doesn't even exist. But it's fortified with ki, with magic, with all of Cell Max's power. It was just so tiny that it couldn't be detected. They need to figure out some other way to defeat him. If they hit his weak spot again, there has to be some other way to take him out. Nobody's sure about how this is going to work, but they're going to have to find a way. As Cell Max stands there grinning, welcoming them to attack once more. And this is where we'll leave off for now. What did you guys think about this part, and what's going to happen next time? Leave your thoughts and suggestions in the comments below. I'd love to see what you guys think. As usual, be sure to drop a like and subscribe if you haven't already. Especially because it really helps with the channel, and we still got one more part to go. Anyways, thank you all for watching, and I'll see you all in my next video.